municipal infrastructure support agent committing to resilient and climate adaptive infrastructure, ensuring that water, energy, sanitation, and transport systems remain functional under pressure, an issue that we heard too from the Minister of Small Business Development. And from the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, a commitment to work in lockstep with the DSBD, COCTA, as well as SALGA, and research institutions to scale innovative programs that drive local economic development across municipalities. These are not small commitments, ladies and gentlemen. Let me remind you, they're important ones, but we have named them today. We need to then make sure that they are adhered to and we hold those accountable. They also speak directly to the summit and what the summit has set out to move from, policy to practical. In other words, measurable action. And so today the task is very clear. It's not ambiguous. We move from commitment to implementation. That is what we need to do today. That is what we need to ensure. So we need to not only agree, but we need to hold each other accountable. So because the end of today, these commitments must translate, into it must translate into a time-bound action plan that does improve the ease of doing business. On that note, which is why we are here today, on day 2, to navigate that terrain of the ease of doing business and also an enabling environment. Allow me then to kick off day 2 by introducing and inviting the first session of the day. And allow me to introduce this session. It is called Cut the Red Tape, something we've been talking about throughout yesterday. Licensing, bylaws, way leaves, and the business visa. What changes in 18 months? That is essentially the topic of discussion. And to lead that in terms of facilitating will be the Deputy Director General at the Department of Small Business Development. If I can ask the DDG, Mr. Vuyisa Daile, to please make his way to the stage, and take his position as he leads this panel discussion. Allow me to also welcome and request on stage the panelists themselves. May I start with a voice from the entrepreneur sector, Mr. Peter Davidson from ZUB General Traders from the city of Cape Town. Mr. Peter, sir, please make your way, Mr. Davidson, I beg your pardon, make your way to the stage. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Then I would like to welcome on stage, all the way from the Free State, of course, the MEC of Economic Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Mr. Moses Makume, to please also come up. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much. May I then ask for Ms. Nobuntu Sibisi from NADLAC, Executive Manager Programs, to also make her way to the stage and join the panel. That will be followed then by Ms. Mampapatla Madikoto from National Informal Traders Association. Please also may you come up, ma'am. Please a round of applause there from Ms. Sibisi. Mr. Gilbert Mosena, President of NAFCOG, thank you so much for your attendance too, sir, and please can you come up to the podium. Oh, it's a mistake. I do apologize. It's Mr. Thank you so much. Mr. Madikoto, National Informal Traders Association, of course, representing traders' perspectives, challenges, and opportunities under the new regulations, and a very important voice there. Thank you so much, Mr. Madikoto. Apologies for that. Mr. Tembinkosi Siganda, Manager, Enterprise Development and Ease of Doing Business, Focal Point from the City of Cape Town. Please, may you make your way to the podium. Thank you so much. May we please give them a round of applause. Of course, we've already introduced the title of this session. I will now invite Mr. Daile to take over this particular session. Lady and gentlemen, please may you take your seats. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Sanbonani. Dumelang. Colleagues, we want to have this very important session. Our time has been reduced a bit, but we hope that we are going to have a very interesting and interactive session. We don't want to have a session where people give speeches, but we just want to interact with each other so that we provide practical solutions to the problem at hand. We all know that South Africa has one of the biggest problems on red tape. In fact, in 2020, we're identified as number 87 out of 90 countries on red tape, which means that we have a very enormous problem, but we've got the experts here to deal with the question. So, colleagues, I hope that we are all relaxed. So, I'm going to break protocol and start with the MEC. MEC, you are one of the MECs in our country who has been leading on this issue of red tape, and we thank you so much for that. But practically, currently, what are the current legislations that you are looking at in your province? Maybe the first question would be, do you consider your province as easy to conduct business? And then you can say, what current legislations are you looking at currently?
Thank you, Program Director, and greetings to all and the protocol that has been established yesterday. I think one of the most important things that we must really appreciate as a country is that we've got two kinds of different provinces in our country. One are those that are metropolitan and urban, and we've got those that are rural. And unfortunately, where I come from, it's one of those rural provinces. So it's not one of those easiest provinces to make a business at. Number one is because of the financial sector and the private sector. But the second part to that is the regulatory framework. We've got one kind of a regulatory framework that has been imposed to the system as if it's a one-size-fits-all. So it makes it very much difficult for the rural province to be places where you can make businesses. Private sector always look at the metropolitan areas. They also look at those provinces which has easier ways of making businesses. For instance, if you are to ask me about my province, I've got the special economic zone, which I think is placed 300 km away from the headquarters of the Free State. But in Gauteng, you've got the special economic zone, which are just few meters away from their own head offices. So this one makes it easier. Even the airports, they're just closer to their SEZ. But my airport is also 300 away from the SEZ. So it makes it very difficult. But what we'll have also realized in relation now to the topic that we are discussing today, is in relation with municipalities. I can tell you that one of the biggest challenge is the lack of one framework which is common to all municipalities, which also work as a guide. It's lacking in our province. Number two is the issue of the lack of the SOPs. So there's also the lack of SOPs in our municipalities, but also the lack of credible database by municipalities. And the other issue is the unfortunate part is that this one is the challenge that municipalities must overcome. Their inability to renew the bylaws and make the bylaws to work for business opportunities and business drive in this particular period. So that is the situation in the province, but we are doing something to try and eradicate some of those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, MEC. MEC, we're going to have a very healthy competition between you and the Western Cape. We've got our colleague there at the end from the city of Cape Town. They pride themselves to be the only city that has a section of people employed only to deal with red tape. Can you just give us some of the best examples that you have there on how you're dealing with red tape in Cape Town?
Okay, thank you so much, Chair. I hope I'm audible. I've got a very soft voice, so I'm going to ask if the media team can just support me. So, yes, what we do, we have the ease of doing business is a mayoral priority number one, which means every month we report to the mayor on the progress that we are driving across all the indicator areas. On a monthly basis, each of the indicator owners reports to our ease of doing business and innovation portfolio committee. We've got PMTs set up with all head of departments that we drive the whole reforms through them to ensure that the work is happening. We have so that's just covering the governance processes. Each of the EDs have got KPIs, they have to drive this. On a system side, each of the indicator owners either have to enhance or have to make sure they have got systems in place. All our performance is published on a website which every Cape Townian or everyone around the world can access, where you can see exactly how various indicators are performing. On our people side, we've got a number of key transversal programs because people are important, the kind of behaviors that they exert. So what we have interventions such as your stupid rules, where staff are empowered to identify rules or practices that frustrate them, and those that EDs have 14 days to come back to explain why that rule should not be changed or educate or improve it. And then we also have I mean business innovation challenges, where staff is challenged to identify responses to systemic challenges within the city. And then there are very important pillars that put us together. We have business facilitation services, a dedicated MSME one-stop shop, which is called the Business Hub, that just looks at small business matters. It helps them to navigate the system and blocks red tape issues. So that's important for us. Land facilitation processes, it's important, as well as marketing the place as a destination. Then on top of it is the index, which just visualizes this. That is the mayor's thing. So it's a whole system that we drive to make sure that we improve the business friendliness outcomes.
Beautiful. Did you say stupid rules?
Yes, stupid rules, yes.
Okay, can you just give us some of one or two or three examples of those stupid rules?
Well, they are various. Sometimes you would find in supply chain, there would be a process that requires multiple signatures. Those kind of double processes, we've cut a couple of those. Business licenses, as an example, we had an application fee, 25 Rand. We did a very simple cost-benefit analysis, tells you that to do that, actually, your costs far exceed the benefit, so we cut that. So we've got a number of these very simple, stupid rules that frustrate staff. We have over 1,500 submissions that we've received from staff. 17 to 20% have resulted in changes to some processes and rules, and then others has resulted in improvement of how staff does stuff. For example, there would be a stupid rule that says if a staff member has to go meet with a counterpart in Stellenbosch, which is in another municipal jurisdiction, you have to prepare a trip report that has to go through all these layers up until the ED. We cut all of those. The head of department, one signature, you can get that done. So it's a journey. It's an entire journey. We keep on identifying these stupid rules, and it's about leveraging the cleverness of staff, because staff know where the problems are. And so we try to use that as a means to improve the internal doing business environment.
Thank you. I like the clarity on stupid rules. I think we must also adopt it as a country. Let's just cut stupid rules. Now, Mr. Davis, you are from Cape Town. Maybe you can just briefly tell us your experience with the office and your experience in cutting those stupid rules.
Good morning, everybody here. The problem of the stupid rules of the city of Cape Town. City of Cape Town is a very beautiful place, but it's not so beautiful for entrepreneurs who done spaza shops and whatsoever, because they have a certain kind of certificate they gave us. This certificate don't allow us to apply for these funds, because when you apply, the fund wants you to have a permit or a business license. The city of Cape Town, they gave us a certificate of acceptability. And that is why we as spazas and informal settlements guys who done business there, we will never get these funds. So this is really a stupid rule what they have. So I agree with this, sir. So I hope they can change this so that our people also can benefit. Because what this law actually done now, he set the informal settlement up to fail. This is this law. This happened now actually in the beautiful Cape Town. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I think we are just getting a glimpse of what do we need to change, because we've been going crisscrossing the country to say when we have legislation it must make sense, because it doesn't make sense for you to have a certificate of acceptance but you can't access money. It just doesn't make sense. President, I'm going to come to you now. You've been dealing with this for many years, and thank you so much for your leadership. But what are your members saying? What types of legislations do they want to change?
Thank you so much, Program Director. Let me quickly, in terms of the protocol, say all SMEs who are here, you are very much welcome. But also to say that in terms of the question that is put before us here, on behalf of NAFCOC, which all of us we know, it is an organization that has been very vocal in terms of the creation of this department. So the issue that are confronting us as small business are issues relating to the migration. We all know that if you go into our township, our rural areas, you will realize that there are so many informal traders, some illegally in the country. So, but at the same time, we don't see how the department, and in particular the municipalities, come forward to assist and work with the small, medium, and micro enterprises. So that also obviously becomes a very big challenge for us. So we welcome, of course, the bill as the department and the ministry have actually consulted extensively with all of us in all various provinces. And we wish so much wish that this bill should become promulgated and become implemented. So, which is the main thrust of our, wish as the organized business, the implementation. But program director, let me indicate also that areas that need to be looked at very, very seriously is the issue of the regulation 1. 2 is the issue on migration control 2. 3 is the issue of the social cohesion. Let me touch briefly on the issue of regulation. We know that our democratic government has got very good policies. We know that regulations are there, but the challenge is the implementation of those regulation, program director. And I must say that these challenges are experienced mainly at the local or the municipality level. So we so much wish that the department could quickly have a way to work directly with the municipalities with a view of implementing this. Because as it was said, there are so many red tapes there, so small business are not able to go through those red tapes. We just need the simplification of the licensing. We need the time to be shortened because we know a lot of people have been trying to get into business, but they take a year or more to get the finalization of their applications. But program director, we must also bear in mind that let the bill also simplify the compliances. There are so many red tape, bureaucracy in the whole process. And by so doing, I think we will be able to create thousands and thousands of small businesses, which will add to the economic growth, which will add to the GDP, and by so doing, will create more jobs.
Thank you so much, President. Mr. Matikoto, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. You are from the informal sector, which is very important. What type of legislations do you think frustrate you, your members, to access businesses, to access finance, to access markets, and so on?
Good morning, everyone. To do business in informal economy, to start the business in informal economy is something simple because it doesn't need a lot of money. But we need the space, which the municipalities, most of the time, they give the problem because of the issue of the permits. We have the permits which are not nationally, the bylaws which are not nationally coordinated. You find that each and every municipality has its set of bylaws. And that is a problem, one, because you will never even know exactly what is needed for the bylaws. Because when you go to this municipality, it's differ with the other one, and then it's differ with the other ones. So one, at least we need a framework that will guide, a national framework that will guide the bylaws, the trading bylaws for the permits, so that as a stakeholders, we will be able to help our members. Because when they started to have a problem, and then when we try to address the problem, you find that you always find different laws, different explanation, different everything. So that is the first one. And then the second one is that, you know, informal economy is something else now. It's no longer what it used to be. Before it was a hobby when somebody get into that. But now it's no longer any hobby. And we wish that it will be treated as a work, like it's treated as work, treated as a business. Because we can't just say we acknowledge the informal economy, but there is no any piece of law or any regulatory framework that talks about the sector, that protect the sector. We don't have that. One, we as a stakeholder for informal economy, now we are trying to get the sector being more organized and developed, to extend that we started in Limpopo. We wanted those people to be registered with Department of Labor, to have the UIF as Department of Labor. And we drafted the strategy that we can use to help the department to get that. But the problem that we are getting is that when you go to approach the department, Labor Department about that, they will tell you that this is not existing in the laws. So we cannot get anything new because it's not existing. And saying to us, from the informal economy, it says to us, as long as we are not thinking anything, you cannot think. Because whatever we are bringing in is not being taken. So we wish that at least we will have a piece of legislation that will talk about informal economy and then protect the informal economy, so that the informal economy people, the working people, they will be able to get the benefit. Like now when we talk about the social protection, when we are saying we don't have a social protection in the informal economy, one will tell you that no, we have grants. The grants, they talk about child grant, they talk about old grant, they talk about 370, which now, if I have a small business and then I have to bank my money, the little money that I have, so 370, I can't get 370. They punish me. They can't give me that 370. They punish me because I can make money. That is something else. And we started to ask ourselves, because now we're trying something, but the government cannot help us. And the other thing, program director, is that the help that the government tried to give us, they don't give us the help that we need. They give us the help that they wanted to give us. We are not saying, in most cases in the informal economy, we are not saying give us the money, but we are saying give us an enabling environment. Like, for example, we are trying now saying we wanted the people to be registered with the Department of Labor. We are trying to say we need these people to be able to invest in an economy, in an informal economy. But you can't get that, because whenever you go to the department, whenever you go to the officials, they will always tell you that what you are proposing is not existing. And because of those things that are not existing, we can't get that. And the problem now is that this sector used to have old people, but this nowadays is no longer old people. It's a young people starting from 18 years, those who could not go to further their studies after the matric. They go to that sector now, try to make a living. So they need to be, we need to make sure that there is a future into the sector, so that those people, they will be able to. So there's a lot of things, but I will cut them now. I will cut them here.
Thank you so much. I I think if I'm wearing my other cap, you'll be happy that we want to engage social development on that. Because I think it's one of, I don't want to call that name, but it's one of those laws that don't make sense. You can't punish people for trying. We've been invited to go to the portfolio committee to make a presentation so that really we can't have a country where you are punished now for trying. You have a grant, it's taken from you if now you've got income. But ma'am, from NEDLAC, we are at national level. We are making a lot of impact there, which also devolves down. We've heard in the past that there's a lot of capital inflows from the country to other countries because of certain laws. And we have been told that some people who wanted to come to invest here, there's a lot of laws that affect their investment decisions. Can you tell us, just give us examples of those laws and just direct us? What are your members say we must change?
Thank you, Program Director. I believe that the first point I would like to utilize this platform is to briefly indicate what NEDLAC is. As NEDLAC is a social dialogue institution that brings together organized labor, organized business, community constituency, and government to engage and collaborate on various challenges that are facing the country pertaining to social, economic, and labor market. And I'm bringing that clarity first, Chair, so that the context within which I bring response to that answer is understood that it is from a social partner's perspective. It is around the issues that have been co-created by social partners. In terms of the existing legislation and the challenges pertaining to the stringent measures or compliance measures around that can be argued in different formats. One being that as a country, we acknowledge the need to ensure that our economy grows, our businesses are successful, and we also acknowledge that there has to be protection of workers in the labor market, and there should be no exploitation. And I think the gentleman there mentioned something around social protection, which is a very important aspect, and clearly for informal economy workers, that doesn't exist. We have the national minimum wage, which sets a foundation or threshold within which no worker should be paid below that threshold. And I do understand that in certain instances, some of the complaints relating to the stringent measures are about the affordability of the national minimum wage. To say, no, South Africa is proposing ridiculous minimum wage. It is important that people should be protected. That minimum wage is not even a social wage. So it is important that the investors understand the economic and the social dynamics of South Africa and be able to come with that view of co-creating and working together and partnering with us to bring that transformation in our economy. I understand that you have limitation of time. I could go on and on, but that's just one of the areas. And I also, while mentioning the national minimum wage aspect, want to indicate that with the national minimum wage that was developed at NEDLAC, which is being implemented now, there are also mechanisms for exemption of small businesses who do not realistically afford to pay the national minimum wage. So there are provisions for exemptions, however, with the view of saying they have to follow certain processes in such a way that they are not on the wrong side of the law.
Thank you so much. Greetings to the honorable ministers, Deputy Minister. Thank you so much. I'm told that you only have 15 minutes now to conclude. But I'm just interested to know from NEDLAC just in a minute to say, what laws do we need to change to bring more investment to the country?
Okay, in order to bring more investment in the country, we have to address a number of issues. Our competition laws, we need to ensure that they promote investment. And over and above the laws, we need to ensure that when the investors are coming to South Africa, there is a clear understanding in terms of the expected. I want to emphasize the issue around partnerships, because often we find that there is an investment that's coming in the country, and there are issues around skills that they are bringing in the country, and those skills, the question is, do they transfer the relevant skills to the people of South Africa in such a way that they are able to continue and work and contribute to our economic growth? So issues around skills development is important as one of the areas for promoting investment. Issues around our labor laws, it is important